Hi, it's Peter Andrews, and I said I'd put together a short video to talk through a bit more detail about the marketplace map. Now, this marketplace map is in Dave Chaffee's book, so you can go and read up about it there, but I want to cover a bit more detail that you perhaps won't find. So here it is. This is what you've seen, and you can see that there's lots of different elements, but in essence, what this is doing is explaining an online customer journey, and it's an essential part of digital marketing. It's a kind of tool which you would include as part of a situation analysis, but it's also vital that you do this before you start spending money on digital channels, and you'll see why that is as we go through this model. Now, the place you start here is with your target audience. Now, obviously, we're doing marketing, and everything should be about our target audience. So on the left-hand side of this map, you've got all details here about your customer. And the idea is that you put together different customer groupings here. Then the next point that I'd like to draw your attention to is this destination sites on the right hand side. So once you've actually worked out who your target audiences are, you start to look at where can they go. So if you've got a product category, I don't know, maybe your Canon cameras, then you've obviously got your site. Now, it might not be your site, it might be your digital channel, or it could be a social media channel like a Facebook page or a Twitter page or your Instagram page that you want to drive them to. But there are different places which customers can go to. So they can go to your company site, they can go to direct competitors, or they can go to indirect competitors. Very different places they can travel to. And under each of these, you can see that Dave Chaffee has put this OVP. That means online value proposition. And it's key that we be able, as marketeers, to be able to say to customers, there is a strong reason for you to come to our site rather than somewhere else. Because if there isn't an online value proposition, then they're likely to go to a direct competitor or an indirect competitor. Okay, now I'm going to show you a map that's been done in the past by a previous student, so you can see how she started to map this out. So really important part for a situation analysis, and important if you're in digital marketing to do this before you start to plan and spend. So in this example, the students put together 5 different personas. Now, she's written different things about these. Now, this was for a nature travel company. But she can identify, look, here we are. Our current target audience are retired naturalists. And she said, but there are other 4 different audiences they could target. It could be photographers, a lone naturalist, an influence traveller, somebody who's a high level of online influence, perhaps through blogs or through social media, and then young adventurers down here. So she's listed those out, and if I have a look at her online marketplace map, you can see here the customer segments down that left-hand side. She's talking about them. Who are they? So we've got, the lone naturalist here, age 21 to 45, so I've got some demographics. He or she enjoys being around nature, values charity work. So now I'm bringing in some psychographics, some behavioural things. Charity work on wildlife and conservation. Their hobbies include gardening, bird watching, and other nature hobbies. So some quite interesting detail. And you can see how she's mapped that out across how they can go to different places. So she's chosen here, that's their company, Yorkshire Coast Nature, but they could also go to local wildlife safari competitors or global competitors as well. Okay, so let's go back to the full marketplace map. So the first stage which Dave Chaffee looks at are these here, search intermediaries. It's the first place we're saying that customers could go to. So they might go direct to one of the destination sites. They might go straight there because they know where they want to go. So they're going to go, in the case I was talking before, Canon cameras, I'll go to the company site. But as you already know, lots of people will start to go to search engines first. And so here you've got a typical list of some of the most popular search engines. So as you know, if you're in the UK, it's going to be Google, Yahoo, Bing or Ask, for example. But in other markets, there can be different search engines. In China, Baidu, or Russia, Yandex. So these are the search engines that people might go to first of all. Then below there, we've got vertical search engines. And vertical search engines tend to be very specific search engines that take a part of the web and deal with those. So they actually can be more precise because they are indexing parts of the web. And some examples of that, I suppose, are like shopping websites where they're dealing with shopping details. So I've got an example up here. Here's Yelp. This could be a vertical search engine, and Yelp is effectively about food. So if I look at it now, near Hull, and I'm looking for, I don't know, let's go for burgers. Okay, so I'm looking for burgers near Hull, and I click, and here we go. There they are. Handmade and Burger Co. Toffs Bar and Grill on the other side as well. So this is what we would call, and going back to here, a vertical search engine. The next is specialist directories, and specialist directories are directories that pull together information about a specific area. And I've also got an example up here just to show you. So if I'm in market research, this is the Market Research Society, which is the National Society for Research in the UK. They've got a research buyer's guide. And in there, they've effectively created a specialist directory. So you can see if I'm looking to do some concept testing, I can click on concept testing, and then I've got a whole load of companies, and I can start to do it by town or city. So I've got one in Hull. Let's have a look if there is one. Yeah, there is. So if I'm in Hull and I want to have a look at concept testing, there's a business. How quick that is, you can see. Now, what you'll see with this online marketplace map is if your customers are using specialist directories and vertical search engines and you are not there, you need to get in them because you are going to lose your customers. The next stage here is intermediaries. So an intermediary are organisations or sites that sit in between a search engine and a destination site. So at the top there we've got horizontal portals or mainstream media. So it can be mainstream media, newspaper sites, for example, like The Guardian or The Times or Google News even. And niche media sites, social networks, you know all about those already, so we could be looking at things like Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn. All of those kind of sites will be here. Then the next one are aggregators. And aggregators, super affiliates, these are organisations, we talked about them in the first or one of our lectures, that pull together information for you. So it can be like shopping comparison sites or Compare the Market or mysupermarket.com. They're pulling information together, aggregating it. Or perhaps if we're looking at airlines, it could be organisations. Let's have a look. We'll go in right away. So if I'm going to book a flight, so if I'm looking for cheap flights to Paris, okay, so I'm looking for cheap flights to Paris, and what have I got there? Pay-per-click advert right at the top for Skyscanner. So Skyscanner are actually one of these intermediaries. There we go. And the point is, just like before, if a lot of our customers are using aggregators and we are not on Skyscanner, we are not going to get those customers. So it has to be a core part of your digital plan. Then at the bottom here, we've got small affiliates and blogs. So we know a bit about blogs. So there's sites like moneysavingexpert.com, or particularly, say for example, if we're looking at Mum's Market, it can be things like Mumsnet, which are just huge forums and blogs all together providing information. And we might find that lots of our customers might be going here, and if we ignore this kind of site, if we don't engage with it, we're losing them. You can see here there's an advert for somebody that's trying to target mums through Mumsnet. Okay, so that's pretty much it, and then we get to these destination sites, and I'll make sure I upload this copy as well, so you can have a look at it. This is a great example, just showing you how this works. Start to put different sites in TripAdvisor, Groupon, Virgin Experience Days, others. The interesting thing about this one is that there's some colour coding going on, explaining if customers are going to different places. An influenced traveller is likely to be going to some of these niche media sites before, rather than going through typical search intermediaries. Okay, so I'm hoping that is useful for you. Get together, work in groups, and work through this model. It's a really good model to use. Okay, I look forward to seeing you soon.